Hi, I'm Cindy Y. Davis, also at CYDdidScientology. So my initials, CYD, CYDdidScientology. Okay, where are we? We are now on chapter 4. What are we going to name chapter 4? I wonder, since it's all going to be about Guam. Loved Guam. Guam was my favorite place that we lived. And what can I say? A few thousand words, probably. Guam was amazing. And most of Guam was a really good trip. And then there was a part of Guam that was really, really hard. And we will sneak up on that part. So where are we going to begin with Guam? Let's begin with flying to Guam. I do not remember where the hell in California we left to fly to Guam. And it would either be Travis Air Force Base itself, which I kind of doubt because I think we took a regular airline. So then it was probably out of San Francisco. But at some point I can go on Ancestry and, excuse me, while I get situated. I can go on Ancestry and find out for sure where we left from. Or ask Dad. I'm sure Dad would remember still. Anyway, we left from California. We'd already seen family and stuff after leaving Washington. And saw everybody in Northern California, family in Northern California from both Mom's and Dad's side. Had our trip through California family reunion under the willow trees at my grandma's house on my mom's side. And the next thing you know, we are landed on Hawaii. I don't know if people do in or on Hawaii. A lot of people say in Guam, and it's always been weird to me because when you're on an island, you're on whatever said island. So anyway, we landed on Hawaii and we never got out of the airplane. So we refueled in Hawaii. So I've been to Hawaii. I counted but it's not really a fly over state. It was a fly to state, or basically it was a fly through state. Something along those lines, but we landed, we refueled, we saw, and I doubt if we were on a regular plane, which we probably were, we probably left from, probably not a military plane. So we probably left from San Francisco and flew to, not a military airport in Hawaii. I don't remember what airports are in Hawaii. Anyway, I've been to Hawaii twice, same situation, never got off the plane. We just refueled and then headed whichever direction. So we refueled in Hawaii. I still count it as a state I've been to. I haven't touched it personally. Anyway, that's always been a iffy one for me. And then we flew from there to Guam. Now, the very first thing I remember about Guam was a big impact, and it really was an impact. They opened the door at the back of the plane, not at the front of the plane, but they opened the door at the back of the plane, and you could feel the heat and humidity come into the plane like a brick wall moving into you. It was its own thing. It was its own character. It arrived on the plane like, boom, heat, humidity. And heat, yeah, but the main thing, especially since, where had we lived? Well, we had lived in Florida, which has a pretty good humidity, but I think when you're a really little kid, you kind of don't notice that stuff. And then even in Wichita, and I don't know if people realize how humid the Midwest is. It's incredibly humid, and you don't even get the payoff of an actual like ocean or beach. But you get incredible humidity through the summer in the Midwest. And then Washington, I don't, the humid there mainly because it rained a lot in Spokane. So we got a lot of rain, got a lot of snow, got a lot of weather, so it was wet. So that humidity. California, not so much. Yeah, but Guam, that humidity just hit you like a brick wall. It was just an amazing thing to experience that for the first time. And what else was, okay, so we got to our house, base housing, on base housing this time. And we had a great location. Okay, the street our house was on, that street pointed whatever north, I have no direction, north, south, east, west wise. All I know is that street pointed directly at the base pool, the base theater, the base teen club, and off to the street on the right, which was, we were the third house on, you know, if you're facing all of that stuff, we were on the left. So we were the third house on the left, and right down our street was all that great fun stuff. So our house, you know, I should have brought up some of the pictures of this stuff, but I remember all the layouts of our house. This house had a carport, no garage. In Washington, we had an actual garage. In Kansas, we had a carport. In Florida, most likely a carport because there weren't really garages. So most likely, but I don't remember a carport for sure, but I'm pretty sure if we had something, it was a carport. So carport, garage, now we're with another carport. This carport had wide cement pillars, or whatever the hell the house was made of. The dividers in the back were made out of cement block. The house itself, you know, like a solid plaster or something, and had flat roofs because it was a storm area. So like in Florida, a lot of flat roofs, and on Guam, a lot of flat roofs. At that time, flat roofs covered with like that gravelly stuff, whereas now they cover them like my flat garage is covered with that white, not vinyl, whatever it is, white stuff. Anyway, so flat roof. We were on, I think we were considered the B side. I would have to look at our address to see, but I think the AB, we were a duplex. A lot of base housing is dupes and quads and whatever. So we were in a duplex. We were on the side of our duplex that was closest to the good stuff at the end of the street, or, you know, down the street. Actually, it was down the street across the field. And there was a nice worn path between, and the path, I would say, quarter of a mile from like our door, corner of the street, our door, I would say, our door to all the good stuff. Or the parking lot for all the good stuff. And the good stuff being, again, the pool, the theater, and the teen club. And then down the street, the officers' quarters, which had like a little shop in it where you could go in and get like good stuff like candy and Twinkies and Coke, really cold Cokes and stuff. So yeah, so there was that too. Okay, so where was I? I was in the house, at the house. So, nice little house, kind of a, you know, I'm gonna bring up the fucking house. We'll have to go find it to do it. So, and photos and albums, and let's go to 1967. So you gotta scroll like you're level 68 to get back to 1967. We actually, Guam was, while I'm scrolling, Guam was the only place that we lived for exactly 2 years. We arrived on Guam on the 17th of July, 1967. and we ended up leaving on the 17th of July, 1967. We were back in the States. I'll get to it. I get ahead of myself, and you know, we're like sneaking up on this whole show. All right, so we have left Washington. Oh, I love this. This is a, and I will flip this stuff around. This is a, now if I can get it to go up there with my face, a photo album, the cover that I took a picture of Guam. So Ziggy, tell me the dimensions of the island of Guam.
Guam is 31.7 miles long and 8 miles wide at its widest point. The island covers 210 square miles total.
Okay, so it shows Yigo here, which is the capital of Guam. Now, north of Yigo, it doesn't show anything up there. That was where Andersen, and it's Andersen, Andersen, Air Force Base is. So that's where we lived. When we first got there, we did do a tour, and you can see, okay, I know it wants to follow me. How can I do that? Okay, we did follow, see the red lines? The red lines in there are the road, the main roads. So we did take a trip the first day around the island and saw a lot of the main spots. Saw Caribou, saw bridges, saw old World War II. I think just a few years before we were there in 1967, they found, I think it turned out to be the last of a Japanese military person that had thought the war was still going on and was still in hiding on the island. And that was not too many years before we were there. So, you know, some 20 years of thinking the war's still going on, which, considering all the planes going off of Andersen Air Force Base up here, and then down here about halfway through was what we called Big Navy. I don't know if that base had another name, but there was a big naval base there. So there was still a lot of military presence there. And, you know, if you've got B-52s flying in and out of there and stuff, you might really think the war is still going on. So, yeah, so that was Guam. What else about Guam? Oh, when we did first get there, we did arrive on the base, and through, and you can call it like, I don't know what you call it. What do you call the main part of the airport where the people go through? But it was like tiny. But there was a sign as you're getting off the plane and going into this building, "In God we trust, on Guam we rest." So I always thought that was pretty fascinating and funny. And we did have our car shipped there also, along with all of our goods, household goods. We had gotten the car. It was a 1965 Chevy Impala midnight blue with a white convertible top in like excellent condition. And we took that to Guam with us. We did not take it home after Guam or to the next place after Guam, but we did take it to Guam with us. So it's nice to have a convertible on Guam. Let me run through some more of these pictures. I don't want to make this like a whole picture thing, but there are the three of us kids in front of a caribou. We saw our first caribou while we were there. And this was within the first few days of being on the island. There was a beach that was actually on the base called Taragi Beach. And there's Dad on Taragi Beach. Now, there'll be a lot more stories about Taragi Beach. There will. I could almost throw them in now. And around Taragi Beach and around the island, there were also a lot of caves around the island. Now, sometimes these caves depended on whether tide was in or out and where the caves locations were, but I do know that right south of Taragi Beach, I believe it was, there were a lot of caves, and often we would have missing GIs that would go out there and want to go through the caves and misjudge things and end up in the caves drowning. What else? Oh, we did see Hubert, vice president at the time, Hubert Humphrey, on the base when he flew through, and there was an election coming up. I believe he was running for president. Wow, I don't know what just happened to my stabilizer, but it became unstable. Anyway, so we did see him, and he did not win the election. Okay, here we go. Here's the house. Now, for the address, it says 1157B CH, but I know that street had a name because at some point I have Google Earthed it. But this is in September 67, so this is the house that we lived in. Huh, there must be something about how I'm doing the picture that is unstabilizing him. But anyway, you can see that's the house, and you can see the pillars on the side that hold up the carport, which are important. Mainly, I put already twice emphasis on those pillars, because there was a point while we were living there that Dad came home with a bomb loader, which is a big, it's like, if you're on the farm, it's like the bed that you haul pipe on. So this big old long truck bed, or, trailer behind the truck, that you would put bombs on and load bombs. Well, Dad pulls it up in front of the house, and it doesn't have bombs on it. It has these two, okay, let's look at those pillars again. Okay, so, standard like roof height, garage height, indoor, a garage height, those are the pillars. These two palm trees had been cut by somebody so that they're turned, okay, so, palm trees, roots on the bottom, big ball at the bottom, and then straight trunk, and then palms, right? Well, these palm trees, the palm part had been cut off. The whole thing had been pulled out of the ground or taken out of the ground in such a way as the roots are still attached to the big ball. So big ball, roots, trunk. Flip that over, and you have trunk, big ball head, roots, hair. Carved face into the ball part. Ping pong balls painted like eyes put into the holes of the eye sockets. Painted carved nose, painted carved mouth, hair. Now, the back of the big ball, and still, remember that these had to be brought in on a bomb loader because they're so heavy. The inside of the ball has been hollowed out in the back. So the back of the skull of these palm tree people has been hollowed out. So they do weigh less than what they would if they hadn't. And then trunk. And Dad, I forget how he wired them up around because you can't hurt the building because it's not your building. We lived in houses that weren't ours always. And he wired it up there, wired them both up there somehow. And he had a good eye. He put the tall one on the back pillar and the short one on the front. So it kind of just had, kind of flowed into, the carport eyesight. And yeah, they'll be there'll be more stories about the palm people that were attached to our carport. Oh, here. It's not a very good shot, but one second. I have to remember what time I started because Guam could very well be 2 hours. Is that the best picture? Ah, sorry. So, yes. House facing the other direction. And those are banana trees. So we did have bananas, but they weren't very... Now, I wonder now if they were plantains. Because they were about 6 to maybe 8 inches, but they were smaller and fatter than like your regular everyday grocery store banana. And really had... it's hard to say the flavor because I didn't really care for them, but it wasn't quite banana. So I really wondered kind of if they were plantains. But anyway, banana trees, that's what we called them. But up here, across the field and back in the back, and it's really hard to see no matter where I put this, is the pool, the theater, and the teen club. So that's how close it was. And it was a good shot, good direct shot. We had a great location. All right. Oh, this is me and my brother on Taragi Beach. So that was the beach that was on the base. The base was pretty big, so that was considered, you know, the base area, but the base beach. Now, I could probably talk for an hour about the beach. First of all, you kind of get an idea how shallow it is with the rocks and things that are out there, and that's actually coral. And to be in the water on Guam, or on this beach on Guam, you had to wear tennis shoes. I'm sure they have others. I know they have like swimming shoes and things now. Back in the day, back in my day, I think as Natalie would say, back in my day, you had to wear tennis shoes to swim out there because the coral would cut your feet. There are things growing in coral. Coral is alive. It's not a dead entity. It's alive. And there are different corals that if you get them into your skin, they can they can do things. Nobody's ever interested in having any of that stuff done. So you wear tennis shoes when you swim or walk around. Now that is swimming height water. That probably goes out, we're going to say about a 1/4 mile or so. Do you see the dark? See the dark water past the edge there? My stabilizer doesn't like that. See the dark edge all the way across there? Well, the light water is the water you could swim in, but if you went to the edge where it then becomes dark, you have swum off, walked off. You've gone off the edge into the Marianas Trench. Yeah, like actually the Marianas Trench. One of the deepest parts of the Marianas Trench is right there off of Guam. And that's why the water gets so dark on that edge. So yeah, we knew that as kids, and we only went so far because scary as hell to think about going off into the deepest part of the earth underwater. Yeah, all of those things are not good. None of it's good. It's not good at all. But it makes a beautiful picture, doesn't it? Yeah, that's Guam. And that was me and Gary there on it. But look how dark that is. It looks like, yeah. Look how dark that is. Yeah, it was, yeah. Yeah, that's something you keep in mind. Oh, there's some GI walking by, but okay, I have to keep my face in it and then do that. But see how dark that is? That's the water of the Marianas Trench out there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Takes my breath away. Still, it looks almost like hills or mountains or something in the distance. It is not. It's the deepest part of the ocean, deepest part of the world, right there. Oh, and that's my sister Marcella in the distance a little bit, me, Gary, and a couple other kids. This is the main part of the beach where we mostly hung out. And another thing, and I don't think, these are only pictures that I have scanned and uploaded years ago, and I need to do a lot more scanning. Yeah, I have boxes full of scanning to do. But anyway, this is the main part of Taragi Beach where we would hang out. Now, back where I am in this picture that you can't see, every weekend, all day, and not all night, but all day into the night, Saturdays and Sundays. Okay, let me kind of set this for you. We got there in 1967. We left in 1969. Every weekend we were there, Saturdays and Sundays. There were GIs that live and work there, GIs that were passing through, because if you were going to Vietnam during the Vietnam War then, you would come from usually Travis somewhere in California, but often Travis to Guam to Vietnam. And if you were coming back from Vietnam, you would go from Vietnam to Guam and then back. Whether you were coming back alive or whether you were one of the hundreds and hundreds of coffined GIs with flags on them coming back through, you came and went through Guam. So on those weekends where they would have, it was pretty sturdy made, but a made wooden stage, not very high off the ground or off the sand, and they had electrical hookups, and GIs would bring their guitars, their drum sets, their whatever instruments they had. And back in the day, it was lots of Jimi Hendrix, and that's the one I remember most, because I think one of those years he came out with, what was it, the Star Spangled Banner? Is that what Jimmy did, the Star Spangled Banner? I had a neighbor that was much more into music at the time than I was, who would try and keep me up on those things, but music wasn't one of my big old interests at the time. But yeah, and there were bands playing, 60s rock and roll out there all day into the night on the weekends, and it was just a blast. And it was, a lot of families, a lot of kids, a lot of GIs, a lot of families. Like we had a thing, but I only did it once, where you could ask if you met a GI, you could ask a GI home for dinner. Gotta let mom know in advance, but I did ask once a GI home for dinner. I believe it turned out he didn't work for my dad, but he worked in kind of the same area as my dad. I only knew his name as Mud, because when I got to know him up at the pool, I asked him what his name was, and he said, and we had already talked, and he knew who my dad's name and rank and everything. And I asked him what his name was, and he said, "My name is Mud." So I only knew him as Mud. I have in one of my boxes, it got to the point where I couldn't keep all the t-shirts or sweatshirts from all the different places, so I would cut out like the main, whatever it is on the t-shirt, sweatshirt, whatever. And I have one for him that's red with the white stuff that says Anderson Air Force Base, Guam, and it was from Mud. But Mud came home for dinner one night while he was there. Okay, so what else? Let me try and get them somewhat. Right now I'm going through pictures, and I thought I was going to go through the list. Let me see. There's a poem called Guamanian Christmas that I have. I think sometime when I'll add some pictures to posts and stuff with these videos, but not for right now. Oh, did I just? I did. I just skipped through. Let's scroll like we're old again. Let me see. Okay, that was 1967. That's when we got there, July of 67. Oh, first of all, my mother painted this on Guam. It's from a Christmas card, and she painted that in oil paintings. The frame is virtual. She added the frame in like the 90s. Print artist or something like that added the frame to it, but she actually painted. She and I, occasionally Marcella, painted a lot of oil paintings on Guam, and Dad had them. He hung them. It must be in a later picture. He hung them in the lanai, used tape as frames for each one, and when we left Guam, when we moved, the movers put newspaper between them, and with the humidity and packing and all of that, all of them were completely destroyed when we got to Nebraska after Guam. So that was incredibly disappointing. There must have been some 30 to 40 paint by number and plus Mom's not by number oil paintings that got trashed. Anyway, on to lighter fare. We did see Bob Hope, the USO show with Anne Margaret, Raquel Welch, the stars of the time for Christmas 2 years in a row. So that was incredibly fabulous. I see once in a while, this time of year especially, we'll start seeing clips from the Bob Hope USO shows, and those were the shows that we saw for 67, 68, and we weren't there for 69. But yeah, it was incredible. Just like you see in, you know, videos or reels of them, and just amazing energy, really exciting. Thousands of GIs in the audience. We had them at, we'll call it the football field, and it was a football field, but and the stands were just like wooden high school stands, and it was kind of set up like the old days. It was not some fancy stadium or something, and they'd set up a stage at the end of it, and there was Bob Hope and all of these amazing stars at the time and comedians, and it was really, really, really exciting because entertainment-wise on Guam, we had TV. We had a black and white TV. We only had real TV, like actual TV shows, for 3 hours a day, and I think it was kind of 6 to 9, as I recall, or 5 to 8 or something like that, where we had 3 hours of actual TV programming. Other than that, 24 hours a day ran island obituaries, and a lot of them just repeated and repeated and repeated, and then would change as people passed away, and so 3 hours a day we got. So TV wasn't a huge big thing for us, but it was fun when we get it, and it was a black and white TV. Oh, let me show you one of these that didn't, where the photo kind of came out. This was the Bob Hope show in 1968. And you really can't see anything except a shitload of people. guys. It was GIs and families. So, yeah. All right, that was 68. Oh, please don't make me, okay. Every time you come out of Facebook album, you go back, it takes you clear back to the beginning. Trying to see. Oh, we did have Mom's organ on Guam. So the organ came with us. Oh, here's a picture of me with some of the pictures I had, Mom and I both. I think it's a combo of them. I did the Last Supper, but this is me in 1969, so I would have been 11, 12 years old. And that's some of the paint by number paintings. And you'll see the long one right over my shoulder is the Last Supper. But the paintings that we did and Dad hung in the lanai. Still black and whites. Alrighty. Okay, those are 69, so I need to go back to the notes because, all right, okay, we're gonna go back to the beginning. Okay, we talked about the humidity and temperature. It was really hard for Mom. It was a little easier for us kids. And by the time we had acclimated to the weather, we actually did use blankets when it got cool, which would be kind of in the 70s would be cool. So then we did use like blankets at night and stuff then. On Guam, all the windows were louvers, metal louvers. So if you had them all closed, you couldn't see outside. Were there some glass ones? I don't think so. I think on Guam, in Florida we had some glass louvers, but on Guam they were metal louvers. Big old typhoons. I mean, we had typhoons where we sat in the eye of a typhoon for a couple days until the next part of the storm passed over. Typhoons are fucking huge, huge. Oh, and when we did have typhoons or new typhoons were coming, all the men and equipment would leave the island and all the families would stay. Yeah, it was wartime, you know, men and equipment or families. Yeah, we stayed, they went. Let's see, and still early on, in the first few days, there was one day I thought I pooped bugs. It turned out we had big old termites with wings and everything. We're falling out of the vent, which was directly over the toilet, on the opposite side of the room from the shower, but directly over the toilet. It must have been just so when the termites fell through, when it was their season, once or twice a year, they could fall directly into the toilet. Yeah, that was scary as a kid. Oh, and they did have to come in the first few days because we also had like every roach known to man was under the toilet. So they did come in and pull the toilet and redo it and the wax and all that stuff and put it back, and that eliminated the roaches coming from underneath the toilet. So yeah, there were bugs. Oh, geckos. There were geckos. I don't know if I put geckos later down the list. Geckos. We used to get, okay, the geckos I'm talking about, little things, 2-3 inches, clear, mostly clear, milky clear, nicotine color, but lighter and clear. You could kind of see their, like, you know, heartbeat. You could see the insides of them. They made a sound. It was only lighter, a click. but they made this sound over and over and over, like Chinese water torture, especially at night. Mom would give us a dime for every gecko we would get out of the house. There came a time when we reused geckos. What kid wouldn't? so that was fun. Yeah, you want a banana popsicle at the theater? Catch a few geckos, reuse a few geckos, couple geckos, a banana popsicle. It's all good. Speaking of the theater, oh man, the memories. The theater. Okay, let's go to the theater. Leave the house. Walk up across our street, T Street. Cross the street. Walk up the path. There's not dirt on Guam. Guam is coral. It's coral. It's on 3 pillars, I think, 2, 3 pillars. I used to remember all this. Gary will remember more. He had Guamanian history while we were there. It's on pillars under the ground, but it's coral. So it's like red clay, red coral. Not red, but not terracotta, kind of between. If it's wet, it's slick. If it's bare and wet, it's slick. When you're walking back from the base pool down to our place, it's kind of a incline going, a little bit incline going. What do they call it, a decline? I don't know. It goes down a little bit when you're leaving the pool and coming to our place. So if your feet were wet and stuff, sometimes and if it had rained, because like Florida, you get rain, it'd be warm, you could be out in it, it comes, it goes. And you could slide, you could like bare feet skate down it, or even in flip-flops, you could, it was so funny, depending on where kids were from, because we were all from everywhere. Zoris, flip-flops, thongs, there were different names just for flip-flops anyway, but you could slide on the coral, like get a running start and just on your feet, no skateboard, just your feet, like sliding down the path, because it's worn smooth and slick, it's slick. Oh, and there's shrews, now I fucking zigged this the other night. We were told as kids that you have to let them know if you get bit by shrews, because shrews carry rabies. Now, there's no like even record of that. They're really low case for rabies getting in the first place just themselves. It was a whole thing, but kind of thank goodness too, because I got bit by a little shrew one time on that path, and I didn't tell anybody because all I knew about rabies is a whole bunch of shots in the stomach. So yeah, and I didn't have rabies, so yeah, or maybe. no rabies. But yeah, that was a big wives' tale then. But shrews could flatten themselves out and come and go under doors, like if you have things. So we always kept towels, rolled up towels in front of all the doors. It wasn't just to keep a lot of rain out if it came, it was to keep critters out, usually in the night. So you gotta make sure everything's blocked off. Oh my God, I'm just gonna go everywhere because it's fucking Guam. Oh my God. Let's see, toilets, termites, rain. Oh, bike riding in the rain. Officers Hill, the opposite way from the swimming pool and all the good shit, turn around on our street and face the other direction, and then there's a big old hill. Officers Hill. Well, the rain usually came from that direction, and the rain came in sheets. So if we knew rain was coming, we were usually out playing, grab your bikes, skates, whatever, and you ride in and out of the actual sheet of rain while it's moving, and you're riding your bike in and out of it while it's moving for as long as you can, or until you hit the T on the other side of the street, and you just, yeah, that was fun. Oh, and out in the street and on the bike, Smokey Joe. Yes, I am lucky I do not glow in the dark. Any kid who ever lived on Guam is lucky they do not glow in the dark. Smokey Joe came every other night, like clockwork, every other night. And you hear him coming, you're ready for him to come. All the families and stuff are rolling up all their louvers around the house, trying to close up the house so Smokey Joe's smoke doesn't come in the house. Smokey Joe's smoke is DDT. And we used to get on our bikes and ride right behind Smokey Joe for as far as we could frickin' go every other night for 2 years. Yep, we're all lucky we don't glow in the dark. Or we're not dead. And it was normal. It's not like the folks say, don't do that or nothing like that. This is before DDT was not. Yeah. And we would just ride our bikes. And it's like anything. It's like getting used to the tar that I had to, on my thumb, and the mercurochrome and everything else they put on my thumb. Oh, which brings me, now that we've done Smokey Joe, that was a blast, and it was so insane. Totally insane. Okay, so I did quit sucking my thumb. Oh God, this is the grossest thing. This really is the grossest thing. Okay. I was 10 years old when we moved to Guam, and I still sucked my thumb. Best thumb, second best thumb. Calluses, teeth were still okay. Thumb second, nothing had stopped it. Yeah, I quit sucking my thumb on Guam. I got, and this is disgusting, I forget what they were called. Oh God, this is horrible. Little teeny white pinworms in my poo. And the doctors told Mom and me, it's from sucking your thumb. And with all the amazingly different stuff on Guam than any place else we'd ever been, I had a choice. It wasn't what they're gonna put on or not gonna put on. I didn't want these things anymore. It was awful. They itched. It was awful. God. It was many years later. There was only one other time I ever had any other living thing on me like that. But anyway, that ended quick. I quit sucking my thumb. So I was 10 years old when I quit sucking my thumb, and I quit sucking my thumb because of those things, and they did go away. Ugh, God, that was horrible. Anyway, horrible. Okay, they were gone. I did it. I quit sucking my thumb. That's what it took. Alrighty then. And teeth were still fine, and calluses eventually went away, but I've thought of them for years. Okay, so, yeah, so, well, moving on. Men and equipment leave. While we're doing things, let's do food. Let's do food things. It's Guam. It costs to have anything shipped to Guam. Milk, you didn't drink. There was no real milk. Canned milk, condensed milk or powdered milk. So we, before dinner every night, we made powdered milk. Yeah, it says, it probably kind of tastes like 1% milk tastes now. And it took me forever to switch to 2% because it was just like water after drinking regular milk. And then I had drank milk from farm and goat milk and cow milk and non-pasteurized and stuff. So quitting real milk and going to 2% was a big deal. Now it just seems totally normal. But once in a while, because like if you order kids meals and shit and they have milk, it's usually a 1% milk, which to me tastes like water, which tastes like powdered milk. So we had powdered milk. Mom and Dad were raised Seventh-day Adventists, and they were raised vegetarian. So, and Mom learned how to play the piano, but I don't think Mom learned how to cook. Mom always loved kitchen gadgets. I have a lot of her kitchen gadgets. I like kitchen gadgets too. I won't get ahead of myself. She didn't use a lot of them or know how to use a lot of them, but she liked kitchen gadgets. When she made meat, because her and Dad, after they left the Seventh-day Adventists and got married and stuff, they would eat meat. It was always incredibly overcooked. I didn't know at the time, didn't know Mom was not a good cook at the time, didn't know that we didn't pay too much attention to food. Mom made really good, like, Toll House from the package chocolate chip cookies, and that was always fun to help her make those. Those always turned out great. There was a recipe for those. She was good with veggies, because, you know, vegetarian, good with veggies. Meat was a tough one. But then meat was tough to come by on Guam, because anything you got to Guam had to be shipped there. And gluten. Mom made gluten. The way she grew up, gluten was like a protein. A protein? Was it protein? Ziggy, is gluten, when you make gluten, is gluten a protein?
Yep, gluten is indeed a protein.
Thank you.
It's a complex mix of proteins found in wheat and related grains like barley and rye.
Which is probably why in Kansas I found wheat germ when I thought I had found...
When you mix flour with water and knead it,
Ziggy,
these
stop.
proteins form a stretchy network
Ziggy.
that gives dough its chewy texture.
Ziggy, stop. Sometimes you just gotta say stop. Okay, sorry, distracted myself. Yeah, so back in chapter 2, I talked about Kansas, and I was looking for something to eat, and I thought I had found brown sugar, and instead it was wheat germ, which might have something to do with now we're on Guam, and Mom makes, and had always made, but I remember things more then, made gluten, and would make it into rolls and slice it up, and she would have it, slice it up and have it on bread with mayonnaise. To me, that was too much mush, but I liked gluten, just with gluten and some of the juice from it, because the juice was kind of vinegary. So I liked gluten just as gluten. No ketchup, I knew for sure that it wasn't meat. So protein, yes, meat, no. Okay, so anyway, so that was good. So we actually ate gluten, and now there are people who are gluten intolerant. If I had any intolerance, I believe it must have been overcome at the time we were eating lots of gluten. Okay, so gluten, lentils. I liked lentils. When she did nuts and stuff like that, or did lentils or beans and stuff, it was, I remember sitting with her and separating them so you didn't get the little stones and different stuff in the packages, and then soaking them and then cooking them. That was the extent of she didn't teach me to cook. I don't think anybody ever taught her to cook. So anyway, food on Guam. Yeah, that was kind of how food was. I don't remember food particularly. I do remember that Marcella, I'm not ready for that part yet. I'm not ready for all the food stuff yet. Sorry, gonna have to work into the food stuff. Not ready. Okay. Yeah, not ready for that. We were still seen, not heard. There were no conversations. I don't remember mom and dad having conversations even while we were eating. Same in Washington, same everywhere. No conversations, especially not with us kids. There weren't conversations. We did have dinner together all the time. Pretty quiet, yeah. We did say, okay, so like I said, the folks left Seventh-day Adventists when they got married and left their folks. Religion. In Kansas, I had gone to Sunday school, some kind of summer Sunday school thing, a few times with a neighbor. I learned how to weave a pot holder, and I learned, and I always thought it was 24th, but it's 23rd Psalm, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. I knew that by heart. For years, I knew that by heart. For now, I only know parts of it. And later on, we'll come to Jehovah Witness stuff, and boy, they wrecked it. But okay, so religion on Guam. The extent of our religion was we didn't go to church, didn't even talk about church, didn't talk religion, didn't talk about. The only thing we did do, is at dinner time before we ate. And I don't know if it was something we would ever do if we had breakfast or lunch, but always at dinner. Here it is. Dear Jesus, bless this food which now we take, make us good for Jesus' sake, amen. And you just tried to say it as fast as you could before dinner, and you had dinner. That was the extent of religion. There was no more. Okay. It'll make more sense later. All right, so dinner and prayer, yeah. Also, no conversations, no anything. Homework, you came home, you did your homework at the dining room table. There was no help. I don't remember that we even would ask questions because there was no help. You do your homework and you get what you get, and grade-wise, when you get grades, you either got good grades and you were good, or you got bad grades and you weren't good. That was pretty much the extent of school. With no conversations and stuff, I've got to say at this point, I know I will come to it, Guam is not going to be in just an hour. I think we're coming on an hour as it is. Yeah, I knew Guam couldn't just be an hour. There's a lot of Guam. I will take a break. It will be a separate thing, but there will be a Guam part 2 because there's no fucking way I could just do Guam all in one. All right, so, okay, I did that. Yeah, we haven't even gone to Japan yet. It's not going to be just an hour. Okay, dinner prayer. I was at an age where, and usually, like Marcella was 5 years older than I was. So by that time, Marcella's like playing organ, doing, I don't know, doing whatever she was doing at, 15 when I was 10. So yeah, and Gary and I would play, and so we would put on little shows in the back room and tell Mom and Dad, come and watch this show and do these things with our toys and stuff. And yeah, we did. So we were kind of that age, and there was dressing up and playing that way. Oh, I had cleaning headaches. This is when cleaning headaches started. I would get really bad headaches, really horribly bad headaches. And the only way I would feel good or it would go away, or the only way it would go away is if I would clean. So I would like clean my room. If Marcella's room, because it was me and Gary in there, and then Marcella had her room. And I would clean her room. I would, there's nothing ever to clean in the folks' room, but I would make dust or something, other stuff. There were just times when my head hurt so bad, and all I could think of to do was to feel better was to clean. I think that's kind of when the OCD thing started. Headache clean, headache clean, headache clean. So yeah, I was doing a lot of that. And then also I wasn't gaining weight. And Marcella had started to go the other direction because there were things happening. There were things happening, and I'm not quite ready for it. We'll come back to it. We'll come back to the things that were happening and the food stuff. I can't do that yet. Thumbs and words. No homework. Dinner prayer shows. Smoky Joe, we did that. We did the coconut head. Oh, coconut crab. Let's go on to something fun. Let's see. Oh, shit. I think it's been, has it been? I think it's been an hour. I have something fun. But I think I'm going to end on an hour because an hour is good. And yeah. Guam. Yeah. I need time to work on Guam. And Guam was fun. So Guam will be worth it. How many times have I said Guam? I should give a prize. Count how many times I've said Guam. But it was fabulous. It was a great, great place to live as a kid. And there are still so many things about it that I have to talk about. It was just, I thought it was fabulous. It was just, anyway. We're going to do Guam Part 2. Will be Chapter 5. Wow. Okay. I'm still not getting through it as fast as I thought I would, but I'm getting through it. So anyway, I'm Cindy Y. Davis at CYDdidScientology. My initials, CYDdidScientology. CYDdidScientology. Ah, shit. I'll be back in a few minutes. Have fun out there.